Hi, you guys. Hi, you guys. For the first time ever, I came on exactly at 3 o'clock because when I tell you guys, I feel like a horse's ass. I am so damn sick. It's not even like, it's like a fatigue. Like, I'm just tired. Like, look, if you watch my vlog that I put up last night, once again, I have that glisten. Now, I did put up some like Halloween decorations and I was outside putting up Halloween decorations. So like bear with me a little on why I'm sweating, but like my body just fluctuates in temperature and I get so thirsty. It is the craziest thing, but I feel like shit. But as I was feeling like shit this weekend, I was reading. I read like 3 books this weekend, and our book club book is one of them. And so I was asking myself, should I push back the book club because I feel so bad and I want to give you guys 100%? But as I was reading the book, I was like, oh, absolutely not, because Miss Zora needs to fucking be dragged by her curly ass afro. Like, she pissed me off so fucking bad. I was just like, you know what? Just because you pissed me off so bad, I'm gonna get on my live show just to fucking drag you sick and all. You guys, Zora might be my least favorite main character. She's definitely my least favorite main character I've read in a romance this year, but she might be my least favorite character I've read all year. And it's simply because I can't fucking do foolishness. It's not even like she's a bad person. It's not even any of that. I cannot stomach people who do fucking foolish shit. It's actually my toxic trait in real life. I have a very thin patience for people who constantly find themselves in bullshit of their own creation. And so when I read a book about someone doing some fucking foolishness, I get so fucking heated. And I don't know if it's just because I'm sick and my patience is so goddamn thin. But Zora was pissing me the hell off this entire book. But before we get into my issues with Zora, I want you guys to tell me, if you read this book, what do you give the book? And while y'all are doing that, I'm going to explain to the people in the back what this book was about. So let me hold up the book. We have Zora Books Her Happy Ever After by Taj McCoy. This is our first Taj McCoy book for the book club, but it will not be the last. I am thinking of some things for next year, and Taj McCoy puts out a lot of Black romance books, so I am sure we will see Taj again next year. So in this book, we have Zora. Zora is a book club owner. She took over this book club for this old lady named Betty after Betty retired. Zora's mom and dad are dead, but when her parents died, they left her a really good insurance policy. And so she got money and she purchased this book club in DC. This book club is running really well. She has a grandmother who she lives with because her parents also, like, she has a house that she lives in, and basically her grandma lives in a part of that house, and then she lives with her friend also in that house because this house is huge. It's another thing that she inherited. And basically there's this book club. So Zora, like, this book club is really successful. Book club, this bookstore is really successful, and Zora decides, like, she has people come speak at this bookstore that she has. And so the person that she's going to have come speak is this guy right here. He writes murder mystery books. And so she's like, he's successful. She likes his murder mystery books. So she's like, you should come speak at my thing. Before he even comes, her grandma and her best friend, Emma, they're just like, oh my God, you should date him. You should date him. We know you have a crush. And her grandmother wants her to have some babies so she can have some great grandkids, because I mean, her daughter's dead and she ain't got nobody. So she's just like, I don't really like him like that. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, it's just nothing like that. So he comes to the bookstore. He gives a talk. They get to flirting. But as he's giving his talk, there is a guy this guy who's standing beside her, and he's like talking like big shit about her, like about him on stage, like, oh my gosh, can he hurry up? And he's just really rude. So Zora's sitting like, why are you being so rude? So towards the end, he kind of tries to holla at her a little bit, but she don't want nothing to do with it. So then Lawrence, by the way, this is Lawrence and this is Reed. So Lawrence is giving the talk. Lawrence is like, we should go out on a date, like right now. And so she's like, maybe he's just thanking me for doing the book, whatever, doing the talk or whatever. So they go out on a date, they get to know each other, all of that. One thing leads to another. She's full on dating Lawrence. Well, this Reed guy, he comes in because Lawrence is supposed to do a talk at Reed school. Reed is a school teacher at a charter school. And he wants Zora to fill in for him because he don't got no time to do none of that. And so Zora and Reed end up talking, and we find out that Reed and Lawrence are best friends. Reed and Lawrence are best friends. And through things, these two start dating her, and basically she has to make a decision if she's going to date which one of these two best friends she is going to date. And in between that, there's some, shenanigans, all types of hijinks, things happen, and you get to this book. It's time to get into y'all's review, y'all's ratings of this book. Let's see. We have 3.5. We have 3. We have 2. We have 2. We have 2.5, we have 3, we have 4.5, 3.5, 3.5. I give it a hard 3, 2.5. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Usually I come on here and know exactly what I am going to give a book, but I genuinely do not know. I think I have to talk through it with you guys. Just because Zora pissed me off does not mean that I hated this book. I will 100% pick up more Taj McCoy. Because here is the thing. I love a good love triangle. I think we have lost the art of a good love triangle. So whenever there is an author who is willing to throw their hat in the ring and give us some love triangle representation, I am going to be all for it, because I think love triangles are good fun. And I think because of the early 2010s, people have just given love triangles a bad rep. So like, I was already down for this because I love a good love triangle. Someone just said it. The person who gave this 4 to 5 stars right here, incredible writing. I 100% agree with you. Taj McCoy is really good at writing. This doesn't feel like one of those just like, slutty romance books you just pick up one day and like the prose are absolutely terrible and you're not even 100% sure if the person who wrote it knows how to actually write. That's not this. Taj McCoy is a really good writer, and you can tell that she writes romance because she likes to write romance, not because she has to write romance. Taj McCoy could write any genre of book because that's just how strong of a writer she is. And you can tell by all the other elements she puts into the book that she's a really good writer. My issue with this book comes in like everything that happened in the book. I also find some of the pacing to be weird. I found myself often, let's get into it. Let's just go ahead and get into it. My biggest gripe with this book is the fact that Taj McCoy is a good writer, but did y'all feel often like we got too many details about what was going on at this bookstore? Like all the events at the bookstore, everything that was going on in the bookstore, everything that was going on around DC. It got to a point for me, I was just like, this bookstore not real. This bookstore is not real. Like, I don't need all of this information. And the thing is, it'd be one thing if it was there and it was just like world building. But I felt like Taj McCoy did a really good job at creating a world. I enjoyed the fact that there was so much going on. It did feel like a real world, but like we would have all types of people come speak. Then we had this Brian character who was all up in the book, and it just got a little bit of sensory overload. It just became a lot of scenery, more like scenery overload. And I'm just kind of like, I don't care. I'm just kind of like, I don't care. Like it kept getting beat over my head how amazing this bookstore was and all the good stuff this bookstore was doing. I'm like, this bookstore isn't goddamn real. Like, this bookstore isn't real. I don't need all of this information. And because we were getting all of this information about the bookstore, we didn't spend that much time dealing with the fact that this was a whole love triangle between these two people. So that was a big issue for me. I found myself every time we would have to read 5 pages about someone coming to speak or the great things that's happening in this DC community, this fake Black community in this book. I'm just like, I don't care, because this is not a real community. This is not really happening. So can we cut back to the flick? Can we get back to what I came for? So I found myself doing that a lot. So that was already like points off, like, ooh, I'm not enjoying that aspect of it. Agreed. Agreed. Too many unnecessary things were being described and being described in such detail. You want to know the final straw was when that doctor came to speak. When that doctor came to speak, that therapist came to speak at the bookstore, and we got like a whole chapter dedicated to this doctor just for her to drop like one tidbit of information. I'm just like, be serious. Like, I don't need all of this. I simply do not need all of this. Yeah, and then the Brian thing. So maybe, I know Tosh McCoy writes a bunch of books, so I don't know if maybe Brian's the love interest in another book, and that's why like Brian was being like shoehorned into this book. But I'm just like, why is Brian every time Brian just be showing up? Brian just be showing up, and it's not like, and it kept being, I'm like, I was looking through the book like, maybe Brian gonna play a role in something. Like, is Brian in on something? Like, why does Brian matter so damn much? Baby, Brian was just coming in and out the narrative. So I was wondering, maybe it might be one of those things where Brian might be in another book that takes place in this world. And maybe if this book is an entire world, it would make sense for so much, scene development. But that's, I think, I probably have never said this before in a book, definitely on a romance. But I genuinely believe there was far too much scene development in this book. It was just like, I think we're losing a point of this book. We are losing a point of this book. And it brings me actually to an unpopular opinion for a book person. I do not like books that take place fully in bookstores. Where, like, I don't mind a book having like a setting in a bookstore, but when a book is all about being in a bookstore, it usually gets pretentious like this, because most people who write books enjoy going to bookstores, and so it gets a little too like campy. It gets a little too in love with its own premise, and that's usually why I can't get on board with books about bookstores and libraries and all of that, because it just becomes too a love story to book clubs, a love story to libraries. And I'm just like, I'm here for the romance at the end of the day. So I felt like this book constantly kept getting in its own way. So that was my biggest gripe about this. Yeah, same. That's another thing, the ambiguousness of Brian's age. And I was just like, how old is Brian? What made me realize Brian had to be young was when he gave like the grandma a kiss. And I'm just like, how the fuck old is Brian? How the hell? What is going on here with Brian and the latte? I was just like, I don't understand that. That was weird. Brian worked every goddamn day. Nobody else is making lattes but Brian. I didn't get it. I simply did not get it. But yeah, there was just too much explaining going on. Then there was like a moment in there where they were talking about charter schools and they were like giving love to charter schools. Absolutely not. I don't stand for charter schools. And this book actually kind of explains why you shouldn't stand for charter schools. Like, charter schools get better resources than public schools, and then they take all the gifted kids and put them in charter schools, and then the charter schools brag about how much better the kids at the charter school are than the kids in the public school, without discussing how the fact that the public schools are underfunded and they keep kids at a lower level because they believe they deserve that. And then they put all the funding in the charter schools and be like, look how amazing these kids are, and act like it's just because they go to this charter school and not because they are poured into, more people care about them, more people give them more resources and all of that. So there was a whole thing about charter schools that rubbed me the wrong way too, but that's no points off the book. It's just that. So I'm going to ask a question. Would y'all have dated both of these best friends? Would y'all, that is just a question. I am not judging until it's time to judge. Would y'all have dated both of these best friends? Would y'all have dated Lawrence and would y'all have dated Reed? And what are your opinions on Zora dating both of these best friends? I would like to see in the comments. We have a no, a nope, a nope, a nope, a hell no, a hell no, couldn't do it. No, nah, no, absolutely not. No, I don't know why she even dated Lawrence. Sounds exhausting. Seems way too complicated. No, if you're gonna date friends, you only get a chance at one. No, it was a little gutter, but let me get into my opinions. My feminism low-key stops at y'all acting like dating dudes is so much fun. I am so sorry. My feminism hits a wall when women act like they are being progressive by dating a bunch of dudes, because it takes out the reality that dating men is absolutely insufferable. And so when Zora got into this, I'm just like, did it read as desperate to y'all? It read as a little bit desperate to me. Like, you want play so bad. You want people to like you so bad. You want to feel like you have options so bad that you are willing to date these two best friends. And as I was reading the book, I kept asking myself, Zora, what do you necessarily gain out of dating both of these guys? And she kept asking these guys if they were okay with both dating her. And I'm just like, do you know men? Do you know men? Of course they have no problem with both dating you. They're both getting something out of dating you. And that's the part of this book that I feel like Zora at her big goddamn age wasn't understanding. Why would either of them have an issue with dating you? Neither of them said they wanted to be your boyfriend. So, like, it's not like they was just like, I just need to be with you, girl. Like, we need to be forever. So neither of them have this idea that they want to be exclusive with you. And then you still going out on dates with both of them. At the end of the day, they get to just compare notes. And we know they get to compare notes because Reed makes a comment how Lawrence said the reason why he liked you is because you was fiery. So they sitting at home comparing notes about you, like, ooh, did she do this to you? Did she do this to you? It's just you sitting at home just like, I really got all these niggas. I really got all these men. And it's just like, girl, they are playing in front of your salad. They're playing with you. Like, are you serious? You are not gaining anything out of dating either of these two people. And it gets even more desperate. Someone said, what does she like about Lawrence? But I would push you up more. Why does she like Reed? Why does she like Reed? I could see liking Lawrence. Like, Lawrence is, he writes the books that you enjoy. You thought he was so attractive even before you met him. He came and gave a talk at your bookstore when he really didn't have to. I could see finding Lawrence attractive. That's one. What the fuck does she like about Reed? Like, the Reed one just felt like you really just want to be Miss Niggas. You really just want to be Miss I Pool, because what about Reed was enticing from the beginning? Like, they did one thing together and she was just like, I'm talking to Reed. And it's just like, for what? That's the part that tripped me up. I'm just like, you don't have to talk to Reed. I don't even remember what starts her talking to Reed. All of a sudden they just start texting each other, right? He comes by the bookstore and it's like, hey, I think Lawrence wants me, like, you to see if you would do a talk at my school. And they start texting, and all of a sudden she's just like, I'm talking to Reed too. And it's just like, for what? For what? And then you're just like, oh my God, you don't care that I'm dating your best friend. No, they don't care that you're dating their best friend. And then it'd be one thing if it's just like you keeping both of them at a distance, right? You keeping both of them at a distance. Will they, won't they? You sucking on everything and everybody, like, no shade. but you're also engaging in sexual behavior with both of these men. What are they losing? What are they simply losing in this? And that's the part that was pissing me off the entire time. I'm like, Zora, this is foolishness. This is absolute foolishness. And you're acting like you're doing them a disservice when in reality, you're doing yourself a disservice. What does this say to them that they both see that you'll date both of them? That you'll date both of them, and then you'll have sexual encounters with both of them. Like they just, I don't know, and I don't know. I don't want to sound like a prude because, like, date who you want to. I just think dating two people who are best friends is simply unserious. I think it is just simply unserious. I don't think you stand to gain anything in that. I don't think it says anything about like, ooh, everybody just loves it. It doesn't say that. It just says that like you went for the first two dudes that said hey to you. You wanted to date the first two dudes that said hey to you. I don't know why I'm being nasty towards Zora, but that just tripped me up because I'm just like, girl, they best friends. Like they best friend. And look, the minute the rubber hit the road, they was both willing to dispose of you. They was both willing to dispose of you. And then they said this wasn't the first time this happened. That's another thing that would have just, that's another thing. I almost threw my book when he said that. When one of them said this not the first time they both dated the same woman or they both liked the same women. So now this seems like a stunt. Now this seems like a stunt. Where's Ashton Kutcher? I will feel like I am in on one big prank. Like y'all, this is just what y'all do. Y'all just be passing around women and it's weird. It's weird. So the overall premise of this book I found very, very weird. I don't know why Zora just couldn't just be like, I'm only dating one of y'all because it's not that deep. And it lost me. And it lost me, Rosie. It lost me because I'm just like, this is what y'all do. So I'm not, that's the thing. She's being told constantly by both of these men just how not special she is, just how not special they is. And that's another thing. It also would piss me off if you say you don't care that I date your best friend. Because what that mean? Because if I know one thing about me, if I was dating someone, even if we weren't that serious, and he says, I think your best friend is cute too, I'm going to date her, I would be like, like, no, my best friend can't have my man. My best friend cannot have my man. I don't know what to tell you. So what's this idea that you don't even want? Like, you okay with me being with your best friend? Like, you don't even like me all that much. And that's what it gave. It gave off bad. Neither of them like each like her all that much. And Zora is just wooed. She is just wooed by these two men. Like, oh my gosh, I have so many options. What am I gonna do? I can't stop talking to this one. I can't stop talking to that one. And it's just like, girl, they are playing in your 35-year-old face. This is 21-year-old antics. This is something I expect a 21-year-old hot girl to do, and I would be all for it. This is not something I expect someone who is 35 years old running a successful business to be doing with her goddamn time. Oh my God. Zora got me heated. I'm sorry. She was so unserious, and she was so happy that she had all these options. And I'm just like, girl, I agree. I would rather that like it would just be like, oh, we cool or whatever. We cool. It's not that serious. It was just like, I agree. The whole plot was absolutely unserious because like who dates two like it's just you too grown to want to date two best friends. And that's the thing. Like she became so she became so attached to their lives in such a way that they were not attached to her life. Like even the whole like who's writing what, she became so affected by every single thing each of them did. And it was just like, girl, but you want to know what? I have more to drag her for. Thank you. I liked Emma. You know, usually the friends be pissing me off a little bit, but I kind of liked Emma. Grandma was kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. How many times you gonna ask your granddaughter if she gonna have kids, and like her wanting to stay around to listen to her granddaughter have sex? At some points I found it progressive. I was just like, yeah, go grandma. Like, yeah, your granddaughter has sex. And then other times I'm just like, why the hell do you care? Like, why the hell do you care about her getting her back blown out? I don't know. Thank you. Thank you. So then we get the next thing. I might have to stand alone in this opinion. I might have to stand alone Oh my gosh, that was in my notes. Okay, let's get on the dates. Okay, we are going to get on the men. Before Lawrence turns into like a disgusting man at the end, who would you have dated? Let's say after the first like initial date. So after she does the charter school and she's like seeing Reed, and then after the first couple of dates with Lawrence, who would you have dated? Who would you have been with? And I feel like my answer is going to tell you exactly why I fucking don't have no respect for Miss Zora. Okay? Who would you have dated? We have Reed girls, we have Reed girls, we have Reed girls, Reed girl. Lawrence was a clear liar. He did not cook that food. Lawrence always came off of his ass. Reed 100%. Reed. And this is where we're going to have an unpopular opinion. You guys, Reed fucking sucked. Reed fucking sucked. I don't know what to tell you. My answer, and I should have put this as a third option, neither of these niggas was all that good. Neither of them were good at all. That's another thing why Zora made me sick. Both of these men suck. Both of these men suck. Let's get to the comments on someone saying Lawrence completely forgot that her parents were dead. So like they go out for tapas the first like after the bookstore, and she says like both of my parents are dead. They go over to his house. They go over to his house and he like, so what your parents do for a living? I thought I read it wrong. I thought she was asking him what his parents do for a living, and he was about to say my parents are dead. And I was just like, both of y'all parents dead. Maybe that's a reason for y'all to be together. But then she said, and then he was like, oh yeah, you did tell me that. And I had to reread that whole paragraph. I'm like, this man forgot that both of her parents were dead. How do you forget that someone just told you they're an orphan? That is just something about someone you do not forget. And you just saw this lady the other day. And decided that she was, and you just were going to completely forget about her whole life story. And then this is how I knew Zora was desperate. Why did Zora go over to that man's house? Why did Zora go over to that man's house? Why did Zora go over to that man's house? You don't know this man from a can of paint, and you are over at this man's house, and then you sitting up here wondering why he really don't want to be with you. Like, it's the thing about Lawrence sucking is that Lawrence showed signs of sucking the entire time that Lawrence was sucking. How do you not have an immediate ick by catching a man in a lie? I do not care when you catch a grown man lying about stuff he do not have to lie about, that is such a ick to me. That's like lying about the type of car that you drive, lying about the type of home that you live in, like just an unnecessary lie. Like that is an ick to me. People like a man who just be up here lying because it's camp. So when he lied about making that food, first of all, number one, she didn't just call it out. Like, you didn't make this food. Like, y'all could have had a nice little laugh, joke, ha ha. But not only do you catch him in the lie, he forgets your parents are dead, and then he's absolutely terrible. He invited you to his house on your first real date, and you still come back for more. So I thought like at that point, we were just like done with Lawrence. Like Lawrence, no, absolutely nothing. But she continues to date Lawrence. She continues to date Lawrence. And I'm just like, you are desperate. Zora is absolutely desperate and pathetic, because it's just like, Lawrence has sucked from the very fucking beginning. Lawrence has sucked from the very beginning. Not at all. And he fuck them. What made her start listening to them that day? And the thing is, Greedy told her that Reed was the better cat. She was just so gung-ho on Mr. Lawrence, just so gung-ho that Lawrence was going to change her damn life. And everybody was just like, Reed kind of cute. Reed kind of cute. Reed kind of cute. But you want to know something that kind of bothered me? This is where I'm going to cut Lawrence a little bit of slack. Do y'all remember when they went on that second date? They went on that second date somewhere to the French restaurant, and they were driving through like the park or something. And She was like, it would be nice to like have like a picnic in the park or something. And Lawrence was just like, yeah, we're not really gonna do that or something like that. And she was like, predictable. Like he was like, we're gonna go to a restaurant. And she was like, predictable. No, wait a minute. Like, no, I don't think any of the dates that Lawrence actually planned were terrible. And that's why I'm about to drag Reed for Phil. I don't think Lawrence's dates were actually that bad. For Lawrence to be as terrible as he is, Lawrence planned some good dates. Like, with him going up to the vineyard was nice. The little chef, the French restaurant. Lawrence did not schedule any like bad dates. And so when she was sitting up there and she was just like, predictable. Say that to him then. Say that to him. You over there mumbling under your breath how you want to go to the picnic and you want to do this and you want to do this. But Lawrence had never gave you that and you still keep talking to Lawrence. And you guys, if you didn't read the book, she keeps this up to the point where she stops talking to Reed to fully commit to Lawrence. Lawrence never gets better. Lawrence never gets better. And she still keeps playing the dozens with Lawrence because she's desperate. Zora was just desperate. She was desperate the entire time. And I'm just like, speak up. If you don't want to go on his nice little dates, speak up, but you're not doing it because you just wooed by these people. Let's move on to Reed. Reed sucked. I don't know what to tell you guys. Maybe it's just me putting my own taste into the book. Reed was so boring. I saw one of you guys' Goodreads reviews of this book. Well, you were like in the middle of reading it and you were talking about how Reed's personality pissed you off from the very jump. Yeah, Reed gave me the ick from the very moment I met Reed and never recovered. It never recovered. When Reed was over there on the side acting all sassy because freaking his best friend stole his book, I was just like, because like from the very jump, you know exactly what's going on in this book. You know what's up. You know the goop and the gag. And so when Reed was just sitting over there acting all sassy and rude, I already didn't like Reed. Like he was being rude and annoying for no damn reason. Once again, too grown. Like you signed a 360 deal with Lawrence and you upset. Leave me the fuck alone. Everything that they did was boring as shit. I don't know what to tell you. Everything that Reed and Zora did was boring as shit. The nail on the coffin was the African American Museum. I've been to the African American Museum. It was a good, fun, nice time. I had an absolute blast. I went with my family. I don't want to go on a date there. I'm sorry. And y'all can drag me in the comments. I don't care. I don't want to go on a date there. I don't want to go on a date there. I don't want to go on a date to the African American Museum. Everything that Reed did was absolutely fucking boring. And here is my thing. She was talking all this stuff about how she didn't want to have sex. She didn't want to have sex. She teaches. She goes to this fucking charter school, and the next 2 hours they in bed together, just desperate. And I'm just like, what has Reed done? And this is what I don't like about certain romance books. When romance books try to paint a character out to be so magnificent, and the book is telling you how fucking magnificent this character is, and I'm like, I'm waiting to see it. When all of a sudden she's just so smitten by Reed, and she's just making out with Reed at the restaurant, then all of a sudden she's in bed with Reed. I'm just like, did I miss something? Did I miss where we found this endearing Reed? Well, I'm supposed to like Reed because he teaches fucking kids. I'm supposed to like Reed because he teaches kids and he knows how to write books that he lets his friends steal. He's a pushover. This is what I'm supposed to like about Reed. I'm sorry, Reed was fucking pathetic. Reed was a nerd and Reed was pathetic and Reed didn't plan no good days. They didn't have not one good day. I don't care what nobody say. Reed, she ain't had not one good date with Reed. She ain't had not, I would take the dates with Lawrence before I take the dates with Reed. Reed was boring. Snooze fast snooze. I was falling asleep. Not once did I feel the like moments in a romance book where you're just supposed to feel like, oh my gosh, these two people just belong together. These two people should just be together. I didn't feel it. Not one time with Reed. I found Reed to be a complete loser. And when you read the book, it seems like Zora found him to be a complete loser too. Because after all of that good stuff that has happened with Reed, why was she, once Reed showed her the book that she thought was plagiarized, can we get on that real quick? She was willing to no longer talk to Reed. This is where I'm going to come to Reed's defense. She was willing to no longer talk to Reed because Reed plagiarize the friend's book, which in my opinion is camp. It's camp. Like, whatever. I stole my friend's book. Like, camp. I'm sorry. Like, I don't just think that's the biggest atrocity you can commit to somebody. Like, maybe I stole a couple pages from a good friend's book. Like, okay, whatever. The book ain't never getting published anyway. Zora made too much of a deal on that. But let's say that is just okay. But you wasn't disgusted by this man sitting here forgetting your mom and dad were dead and also lying to you about cooking food and then thinking you're a fucking buffoon and not gonna see that there ain't no dishes in the sink, not a single smudge on the stove. Like, he thought you were dumb and he played in your face. You were totally okay with that. Like, all of that stuff is perfectly fine. This man who don't know shit about his own book, the man who insulted you for saying you liked romance book as if he doesn't write fucking murder mysteries. Like, when we're talking about lowbrow fiction, I think romance girlies and murder mystery girlies, especially, like, we all sit in the bottom of the barrel together. Like, we all get judged for our taste. It's romance girlies, thriller girlies, murder mystery girlies. We all sit at people judging us for our goddamn taste. So, like, he insulted you for the stuff that you enjoy, and you were okay with all of that. All of that. But read still a couple words out his best friend book, and you just like, I can't do this anymore. Are we gonna get to the point where I'm talking about Zora's a fucking idiot? Zora's a fucking idiot. Zora's my least favorite character I've read this year. Like, nothing she did make sense. Nothing she didn't make sense. Like, Reed, I dislike Reed because Reed's a dweeb. But, like, I don't have anything against Reed and anything that he's done. Reed has not done anything terrible to you, girl, and you just completely cut him off. You completely cut him off, but Lawrence, you're willing to give a million chances, and it just made me think, oh, and then Lawrence was bad in bed. Then Lawrence was bad in bed, and you still talk to him. Lawrence was bad in bed and you still talk to him. So it made it seem to me that you also didn't find Reed that attractive. You also just wasn't having the time of your life with Reed like this book wants me to believe. Because how come the shitty dates with Lawrence you did not like, him lying, him not caring about anything that you do, him, belittling you and not caring about shit, him blowing off the kids every chance that he got. What was going on in Atlanta, friends? Did I miss this part? Because maybe I was over it by then. What was he doing in Atlanta so goddamn much? What was he doing? Did I miss when they explained what the fuck was going on in Atlanta? I thought Lawrence had a whole other family. That's how done I was with Lawrence. I thought Lawrence, like the gag of the entire book was I thought Lawrence was going to have a whole other family down in Atlanta. I said, Reed is really keeping a secret. I thought Reed was keeping an entire secret that Lawrence had a whole family. I'm just like, what's going on in Atlanta? And they kept bringing up like he was in Atlanta, like it was gonna come back up. So I was sitting here like, he gotta have a man. Oh, he gotta have a man. He gotta have a woman down in Atlanta, right? And like it never became a thing. And so I was just like, I don't know about that. So yeah, no, I don't think Zora liked either of these two men. That is my conclusion on all of this. I don't think Zora liked any of these two men. I was just like, you willing to dump Reed for something so small, and you give Lawrence 80 chances in the world. So I thought Reed was a dweeb, and I hated all of their dates, literally all in my notes. I was sitting here like, Reed's boring me to death. Everything. And then if we didn't spend so much time talking about every person who came to the damn bookstore and all the great things that the bookstore was doing and all the damn things that the kids are doing and all this stuff, we could have spent more time developing Reed, because that's another reason why I'm taking another star away. There was no time spent developing Reed or even Lawrence as a character. I put in my notes that I wish more time was spent actually making the love triangle real. I feel like too quickly we made Lawrence to be the worst person in the world. Like, he had no redeeming qualities. And then just in case you didn't think he sucked, we really get to him sucking when they have sex for the last time. And he's just like, girl, fuck your orgasm. So he just gets turned into like the ultimate villain. And it's just like, but where is this time being spent to just show that Reed and Zora are just better together? I don't think that's the part of the book that we spent enough time doing. We didn't spend enough time like really showing what Reed and Zora could be. So when we get to the end of the book and Zora just talking about, I'm in love with you, you just stop talking to Lawrence too days ago. Like, what are you talking about? You're so in love with me. And that's what I didn't understand. Why did she not stop talking to Lawrence sooner? Because she enjoyed the attention. That's all I gotta say. She enjoyed the attention from it. But I'm just like, is this the type of attention you want? Is this the type of attention you need, girl? Like, Lawrence sucks. And then I didn't find Reed to be all that much better. Another reason Zora is getting annihilated by me, but I'm gonna continue. Another reason that Zora pissed me the fuck off, mind your business. I believe when it came to the whole plagiarized book, who's writing whose book, because like from the very jump when Reed was pissed off at the bookstore, it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to realize in that very moment. I think we all realized in that moment that Reed wrote the book. Like the minute he was pissed off, I'm like, Reed's writing the books. Reed's writing the books, right? And then they get into the car, and Lawrence don't know shit about the book. I said, Reed's writing the books. I said, that's the plot of this. Reed's writing the books, right? And so the whole book, I'm like, Reed's writing the book. She's gonna find out that Reed's writing the books. And I sat there real quick, and y'all know I'm nosy, but I was just like, why the fuck is this Zora's business? Mind your business. What was the point of Zora bringing them all together, a meeting of the minds? And bringing them all together and be like, Lawrence, I have something to tell you. Reed is plagiarizing your book. If I was Reed, I would have flipped everything in that goddamn place. Like, who are you? Who are you? Like, even if, let's go fully in Zora's mind. Even if Reed is plagiarizing the books, who cares? Reed literally told you he has no thoughts about publishing the books. He never thinks about publishing the book. He's not going to publish the books. So who cares if he's copying other people's stuff? Like, it simply does not matter. But she is just like, I gotta tell the truth. I gotta let the truth be out there. And it's just like, this is none of your business. So I was fully on Reed's side when Reed was just like, you're weird. Like, you're weird. You're weird. Because number one, this is not even a moral thing. People write other people's books all the time. I guess you can decide if it's immoral or not. But if you sign a contract that you want to ghostwrite for somebody, half of these memoirs that we be reading are ghost written by somebody. Like, that's just the name of the game. A lot of people not writing the books that they names it on. Go to you want to know who writing the books? I want you to flip to the back of the book and go to those acknowledgments. And the acknowledgments is where the real tea is, okay? The acknowledgments will tell you who really be writing a lot of these books. A lot of people don't be writing their own goddamn books. And so, like, it's up to you if you think that's a moral issue or not. But I know what issue it's not. Zora's. It's not Zora's fucking issue. And she calls everybody to meet to go discuss this. You're weird. You're weird. You are too obsessed with these guys' life. Keep in mind, nobody has asked shit about what she got going on at this bookstore. Nobody has asked shit what she got going on with her parents. Nobody has shit about what's going on in her life because no one gives a fuck because everybody else here is getting what they came for. Everybody else here is getting what they came for. You the only one who's just so like, I need to get to the bottom of this. She was like, I just can't understand how someone would steal from their best friend. You mean the two best friends who are dating the same person who is you? You can't fathom how one best friend would steal a couple chapters from a book from another friend. But you can fathom that two best friends would want to date the same person. Zora was dumb. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Like, everything Zora said, I'm just like, you're an idiot. Like, you're actually an idiot. And then you're going to come over here and act like you're spilling the beans to two people who are the ones conspiring together. You're spilling the beans on who's writing what. Like, she act like she really just solved a mystery that no one wanted to be solved. Like, they always looking at her like, girl, nobody asked you to solve this mystery. And I was fully on their side. So at the end of the day, fuck Zora. I'm on Lauren's side about that, and I'm on Reed's side about that. Like, if Reed is being fairly compensated and Zora and Lawrence is, a fine boss, who is it to Zora? She inserted herself in shit that didn't have shit to do with her. That's my feelings. She was so invested. And I'm just like, why do you care? I found out on page 10. The first page of this is page 10. I found out on page 30 that He was writing that book, and I stopped caring in, and I stopped caring in because I'm just like, who cares? Who cares? Like, it's none of my business. Like, are the books coming out? Like, I can't imagine that she's holding a gun to his head and being like, you need to write these books. That's not what's happening. That's not. And then they've been friends since they was a kid. Why do you goddamn care, Zora? Because you're bored and you care too much about these men. I know. I'm crying. I'm crying. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Far too self-involved, far too self-involved, far too thinking like, oh my gosh, my moral superiority over people. Like, they minding their business. They minding their business. They doing what the hell they got to do. So overall, Zora was pissing me clean the fuck off. And then anyway, so after all of that happens, they end up, ooh, another ick. This is Reed's final ick. Reed's final ick for me. Poetry. Yep. Poetry is my final ick. Don't ever in your life invite me to go see you do a live poetry slam, because I promise you I'll never talk to you again. I promise you I will never talk to you again. There is nothing I hate more than watching people perform their poetry. I don't dislike poetry. I think poetry can be very beautiful, very nice. It is one thing. Y'all know Trevante Rhodes, the actor? Back in the day on his Instagram, he used to post like his poetry. And baby, I have never been more icked in my life. I say, you better fucking stop doing that. And I wasn't the only person saying that, because he stopped doing that shit. Everybody who was in the comments was like, stick to acting, baby. Stick to acting, baby. And thank you very much. Do not ever in your life perform your poetry to me. You can send it to me. You can, and I can read it through, but do not. So that was the final ick for Reed. And that summed up my entire experience with the book. I was just like, yeah, Reed sucks too. Reed sucks too. I was just like, here come the poetry slam. Here come the poetry slam. I don't want. Like, ugh, like, ugh. Like, the thing is, I don't want to seem strict, but Reed was not enticing to me. Reed was not enticing to me. He just was not. I found Reed to be such a dweeb. And then when I was coming around to Reed, because I enjoy Reed standing up for himself, I enjoy Reed being like, you need to mind your fucking business, Zora. This has nothing to do with you. I enjoyed that aspect of it. So I was coming around to Reed, because it's just like, at least Reed's not as desperate as you are, Zora. And then he comes back on the desperate train reading poetry to her. It's just like, Zora would have gave you another chance regardless, because she was dating your best friend and you for the past months. Like, she don't got no standards. She don't got no standards, no hopes. Like, she got her mama beating down her block to have a kid. She has her best friend who just wants her to have sex. Like, she was gonna come back to you anyways. He comes and does a poetry slam. I'm completely disgusted by it. And that's just pretty much how the book ends. So altogether, I just did not enjoy my time reading this book. Like, this, I think overall the book is like enjoyable. Like, I enjoyed myself. Like, I didn't, it wasn't the worst thing. It's only 300 pages. So like, it ain't the worst time I had this weekend. And I was sick, so I was just in bed all weekend. It was fine. It got me through a few hours. But still, overall, Zora was just odd. She was just bothering me the entire goddamn time. That was my opinions on that. I put in my notes some quick notes that I put down. I put Zora acting like there's a choice. They both suck. I did very much so enjoy the Lawrence breakup scene. There are scenes in this. I'm dragging this book because I hate Zora, but there are scenes in this I enjoy. I enjoyed the Lawrence breakup scene. I enjoy how they all came back together. Was the fact that Reed was like, I told his mom that he wanted to sue me. I thought that was cute. I do like kind of the idea of Lawrence and Reed being friends. um I Lawrence becoming this big villain didn't like sit well with me, but I did enjoy the scene of them being the big villain. I did enjoy the scene of them confronting like the whole confrontation, and I do actually enjoy the idea of these two friends like keeping this lie. I just think it could be like it could have been like handled better. I think all of it could have like been done in a more there could have been a little bit more finesse in it that would have like really like I don't know, all the tools for a really good book were here for me. I just think it wasn't done well. Like I said, I quickly caught on to the fact that like okay, Reed is writing the books. We meet Reed. Reed is grumpy and rude. Reed is keeping secret. That's another thing. Reed lies so bad. Like that's another thing. Like I would have never been able to date Reed. Reed lies so goddamn bad. Like Reed been lying about this whole thing. Like and Reed really don't gotta be lying. Like Reed was lying for him. It was the whole thing. Reed is letting somebody else write his stuff. Did Reed explain why he was writing his stuff? Did Reed ever explain why Lawrence was writing why he wrote the books for him? Is there a reason why that is? I'm pretty sure they explained it, but at this point, I do not remember. That's another thing that made me think Reed was a punk. Because I'm just like, why would you do that? So that was my thoughts on that. Like a sick weekend spent reading this book, but overall, I'm gonna give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I think this book is perfectly enjoyable. I can see how some people give it 4. I can see how some people give it 2. That's my opinions on this book. Zori books her happily ever after. I'm sorry, you guys. I think Zora and Reed should not be together, or they both could eat. I don't think Reed is a loser in the same way I think Zora is a loser. That's the thing. Even though I think Reed's a dweeb, and I think he has no fun side to him, but I don't think Reed's a loser. Zora's a loser. So like, I don't think either of them come out here where, and then Lawrence is going to hell. So like, let that be. So Reed's not a loser, but Reed's a dweeb and no fun. And I just think there should have been more character development put into it. That's the big thing. Overall, jokes aside, I think the character development in this book is just really, really weak. I think Zora's motives are not fleshed out well enough. I think Lawrence somehow becomes the most fleshed out character in all of this. You see the little spots in his personality and it all comes together. I think Lawrence is actually the most actualized character of anybody in the book. Like everything that Lawrence does feels like what you expect Lawrence to do. He's the same person every time you meet him. The stuff that he does is the same thing every single time. I think Lawrence is the strongest character out of the entire book. And then I think Reed has absolutely nothing going on. Name one positive thing about Reed. He works with kids. He works with kids. That is literally the only thing you're supposed to find endearing about Reed is that he works with kids. And it's just like, what else is there? What else? He's good in bed. Like, obviously, they're going to make him good in bed because they want to make Lawrence bad in bed. And that's one thing. I wish Lawrence had some redeeming qualities, and still we would see that Reed is the better choice, you know? I don't think we got to make Lawrence a misogynist, terrible in bed. He don't write his own books. He mean. He don't care about her dead parents. He don't care about taking her on dates she want to go on. I don't think we got to make Lawrence just the most awful person in the world to prove that Reed is worth being with. So yeah, some things that don't make sense, that Brian character don't make sense to me, but maybe he shows up in another book. Him going to Atlanta all the goddamn time, I didn't understand that unless that was explained and I missed it. Grandma needs to go get a life of her own, no shade. And I like the Emma character. I like the friend Emma. I like the idea of having a roommate when you're 35. I think something about that is so damn cute. I don't know. As I get older, I used to get on people. Some people need to stop having roommates, but I actually think as you get older, if y'all both single and you have a best friend and y'all want to live together, that's kind of cute. So I actually like that idea. And that's my thoughts on this book. Next month, we only have 2 more months left of the book club. I'm not doing the book club in December because I'm not. I think I'm taking all of December off except for doing Vlogmas on my Patreon. That's what I do in December. I do Vlogmas all the way up until Christmas Eve. So December, I'll be off the map doing that. And then I have to do all of the end of the year stuff. So like my favorite book of the year, my favorite this of the year, this of the year. So it just becomes a whole thing. And I just can't tie book club in with that. But boom, this is our book for October. We have Witch wishful thinking. When I saw this at the book club, I think whatever month this book came out, that is when I purchased it, and I've been waiting. I was like, this is going to be perfect for October. So I've owned this book all of this year, and I have finally been able to show you. Wishful Thinking by Celestine Martin is going to be our October book. Very, very on theme. I'm excited to have like a witchy type of book about Black people. Doesn't that sound so damn fun? So we have this book, and then I don't know, I don't have it. The book for November is Play to Win. I'll probably make a video to tell both of you about all of you guys about that. But anyways, I feel like shit. So I am about to finish putting up my Halloween decorations. I'm going to listen to an audiobook, and I am going to lay down in my bed, and I am going to watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because once again, Kenya is in her Will Smith era. You guys are finding out the hard way how much I obsess over things when I obsess over things. Catch me this time next year. I'm going to pretend like I don't even know Will Smith. But when I am in the throes of obsessing over someone, they become my entire life. And Will Smith has just become my entire life for the past 2 weeks. I do not know what to tell you. I watched Hitch yesterday. I always love Hitch. I'm waiting to watch The Pursuit of Happiness because I think The Pursuit of Happiness is a fall movie as well. I might say The Pursuit of Happiness to November. I got to see how long I can stretch my Will Smith obsession, because that's the thing. I obsess over something, and immediately once that thing happens where just one morning I wake up and I don't give a fuck about that thing no more. I wake up and it's just like, Will Smith who? So I'm trying to stretch my Will Smith obsession to the point that like I don't care anymore. But like I am all Will Smith down. Will Smith has a show on Disney Plus with National Geographic, and it is so damn good. It's called Welcome to Earth, and Will Smith is not even the good part of the thing. It's actually just good to like see the different like parts of the earth. Like, it's blowing my mind. I actually get annoyed when Will Smith comes on my screen, because I'm just like, fuck you, Will Smith. I want to see the sea turtles. Oh my gosh, there's this whole episode about sea turtles and how the sea turtles have to go lay their eggs. I'm obsessed. And so I watch that before I go to bed at night. I've been laying in the bed watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then when I really get to like, ooh, my misery, I put on a movie, and that's how I watched Hitch the other day. And Hitch is still just as good. Hitch is better now than Hitch was in 2005. Oh my gosh. And it's almost like the world, I literally believe all of y'all are non-playable characters and I'm the center of attention, because just when I go into my Will Smith era and I watch Hitch, there's a viral tweet right now on Twitter of somebody saying that Will Smith is too attractive and has too much charisma to not have done more than one rom-com. And it's just like, how does this tweet come about if not for me? Like, everything just seems to center around me and what I'm doing, because I said the same thing when I watched Hitch. I watched Hitch and I said, it is absolutely crazy that this is the only romantic comedy that Will Smith has done, but we got 50-11 action movies that I am not going to watch. Sorry, my Will Smith obsession is not going to go beyond me watching all them goddamn action movies. I don't give a fuck. I do not want to watch Men in Black. I've never wanted to watch Men in Black. Steven Spielberg, you will always be famous, but I do not want to watch Men in Black. I will watch Bad Boys because I do like Martin Lawrence. So I will watch Bad Boys. Will I watch Independence Day? I don't know. I don't like action movies. It's just not my thing. I don't like dude movies. I don't know what to tell you. So like, not gonna, even though I love Fast and Furious, though, I don't know the science to that. So I don't know if I'm gonna watch those, but I will be getting to The Pursuit of Happiness. And right now I'm on season 2 of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I'm loving it. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is just so funny. Will Smith is just so damn good. Oh my gosh. So that's my life. And so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. Thank you guys so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. And I will see you guys next month, where you guys are going to see me. We're going to come early because my birthday is on the 26th of October. Scorpio, stand up. Scorpio, stand up. Libras are our opening act. So our opening act is on stage right now. Scorpio season at the end of the month. My birthday's on the 26th. So we're going to come the week before that, which is like really early, because I won't be, I have this thing where Kenya does not want to spend her birthday in the United States of America, like, ever. So I'll be out of town for that. So we're going to come a week earlier for wishful thinking. I will see you guys later. Peace.